Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the MOVIEVERSE. We're doing our Road to the Oscars 2015. I'm Big Nasty. This is my boy, the Habitual Pixels.
Hello.
Today we're doing a little film called Birdman, or The Virtue of Ignorance.
The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance.
Oh, sorry, The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance. I don't know. Either way. So, why don't we let you go ahead and start off with what this is about?
Alright. This is a strange film. This is a film directed by a man named Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu. I'm not even going to try. But he's the director of 21 Grams, Beautiful, and Babel, if that means anything to the film fans out there. Alright, Birdman, to tackle. This is a tricky story.
This is a bit odd.
This is a story of a washed-up actor named Regan Thompson, played by Michael Keaton. Kind of a strange, he's kind of playing himself in a weird way. He's a washed-up actor playing, he's famous for playing Birdman, which is not unlike Batman.
So Michael Keaton's not washed up, but continue.
Yes, but it's been a few decades since he left his, the limelight, if you will, and he's trying to gain a little bit of his artistic cred back, if you will, by writing, directing, and starring in a Broadway play, if I'm on target there. And he has his friend Jake, played by Zach Galifianakis, as his lead stagehand, whatever you want to call it.
It's lawyer and confidant. Best friend, if you will.
Mm-hmm. And he has a daughter, played by Emma Stone, who's a recovering addict and a bit of a, off-the-wall...
Bit of a case.
Yeah, and, during this, trying to put this play on, he's also losing his fucking mind.
Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah, he's kind of off the deep end, and you can't tell if this is all in his head, but it's, very much likely that it's all in his head, because, he envisions himself, levitating and using telekinesis to throw shit, and his alter ego, Birdman, talks to him, so he's a bit of a... No, he's fucking crazy. He's not a bit of anything. But, during trying to put on this play, they lose an actor, and by that I mean he kind of kills him with his mind, if you choose to believe that. And they bring in Edward Norton, who's plays this character Mike, who's kind of like a method actor, like a genius prodigy actor, but he's also an asshole.
Yeah, bit of a prick.
Mm-hmm, and he kind of fucks up their production, but with his ways, he breaks character when he doesn't get... when they replace his alcohol on stage with water, he just breaks character. Middle of the show. He's a bit of a prima donna, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the story really just focuses around trying to get this play off the ground, and he's also trying to balance that with being fucking insane.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
I agree.
And, there's numerous things going on at the same time. He's got problems with actors, problems with money. Some lady says she's pregnant with his child, amongst other things. He gets locked out during a performance, has to walk through Times Square naked.
Which actually gets them more attention, though.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And that was one of the scenes I did like.
It's a happy accident, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
Happy accident.
Yeah, and it's about... It follows the madness that is the inside of this main character, Michael Keaton's head. And this is a kind of a little bit of an artsy, I don't even know what you'd compare it to, but, I don't know. This movie, I don't think, will be for everyone, and I don't think a lot of people are going to really be able to follow this story, but I think I did my best to summarize it.
Oh, you did a great job summarizing it. But, and I agree with you, though, that it's probably not going to be for everyone as far as storyline goes.
Yeah,
but as far as those who are fans of films, and especially how films are made, you really have to appreciate a lot of the technique that went into this film as well. Mm-hmm. A lot of the flowing camera work where it almost seems like it's constantly just following. Mm-hmm. It never seems to really stop for more than a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
And it's kind of miraculous how they do some of that stuff, even when they're doing the 180-degree movements and shifts across or around.
Oh, yeah.
There's mirrors and stuff like that. It's impressive, especially in that regard.
I will say what is lost with the story not being, it's not as great as the sum of its parts, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
But there is some really, really impressive stuff technically going on in this movie, and I think it's a must-see for that reason. If you're a film geek of any sort, what we're getting at is this whole film is filmed like with the illusion that it's one continuous take, basically, from start to finish. It's clearly not. They do all kinds of insanity. If once you watch the movie, you'll realize it's impossible for this to be one take. But they certainly pull off the the look of one take. And if anyone who's ever tried to film anything for like 4 to 5 seconds, it's hard enough to get that right, let alone like 10, 15-minute scenes. And like you said, they do 180-degree movements, indoor, outdoor transitions, like through rooms and hallways. There's some really impressive stuff going on cinematography-wise.
Realistically, you're right. That is pretty much the highlight of the whole film.
For me, it was definitely.
Yeah, same as me as well, because, I mean, aside from the acting, the story really, I don't know, it could just be me, but it seemed that it was a little almost up its own ass in the fact that it seemed that there was this almost side story within Regan Thompson's head when he's talking to Birdman, and he seems to be explaining to him that because nowadays the only movies that are making any money are big action movies or superhero movies, things of that nature, and because he's trying to do something that's from the literary world that's more serious and it's on Broadway, that he's just going to make a mockery of himself and this and that. But then it turns out like that's what he's supposed to do. It just seemed weird that it was almost seemed like it was saying that films like this should just get more attention than obviously something that's like a superhero movie or something like that. Which I understand if you're a director or a writer who pretty much writes things that are odd or different or are more meant to make you think about anything in a philosophical sense, whether it be about films or things in life, nature, or things like that. I understand where the struggle is with that, and if that's your point, because of the fact that those films do get way more recognition. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, it seems odd for it to do that in a movie like this. It just seems...
Yeah, it seems hyper self-aware, and it is. I mean, Michael Keaton's kind of playing...
I could be wrong, because I don't know if I just read it wrong, but that's how it seemed to me. I was just like, that's kind of odd.
I think this film can be read a number of different ways, and I think some people will really like some of the stuff in here. Maybe even love this film. I mean, it's got fucking 9 Oscar nominations or something ridiculous. But I don't think it's going to be for everyone, plain and simple.
No.
I mean, it is kind of like hyper self-aware to like a fault, kind of. Like it is criticizing, big budget movies and Edward Norton's character being so up his own ass, literally. Like just a kind of a prick.
But it was almost just trying to. Seems like it's just trying to suggest. Like when I did say it's up its own ass, it just seems like it's trying to suggest that that's not art. It's just a show. You know what I mean? It seems like that's what it's. I could be wrong, but that's what I read from it, in my opinion. That's what I saw it as. Yeah,
I mean, I think a lot of people are gonna get different things from this movie, but
definitely.
Personally,
it's an odd one.
I can't. Yeah, this is really strange because technically it's very, very, very cool what they did here, and I'm gonna watch it probably a couple more times just to kind of study and observe what they did and where they hit all the cuts and stuff like that because it's cool. But the storyline is lacking. I mean, it's performed well, but I don't think it comes together, especially not at the end. I mean, I think, because it's so fucking weird by that point that you're kind of expecting that ending, but still, it's...
Well, maybe you can answer for me, because I still don't understand. Did he kill himself?
I mean...
Because I don't understand why Emma Stone looks up.
And smiles, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not like he's actually flying. That's impossible. So, I just don't understand. Did he just jump out and kill himself, and she just thinks it's awesome? Like he's finally free? I have no idea.
I don't know either, because that's what I was expecting. She was gonna look down and start bawling her eyes out.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah.
And then she looks up and she smiles, and that, does that continue with the story of being in his own head? I figured when he jumps out a window, that's when our vision through him, would kind of end. But maybe not. Emma Stone's like, oh, my dad just flew away. He really is Birdman. I'm like, I don't. Okay, he is Birdman, I guess.
I guess that's pretty much what's going on.
I don't know. Yeah.
It just didn't make much sense to me. And I mean, I've watched it multiple times. It's not like I just watched it time.
Watched it like 2.5 times now.
I've seen it at least 4 or 5 times now. And the problem was, I keep getting the same vibe from it, and I just don't seem to understand what the whole purpose of it is, especially with the fact that he ends up, and I mean, obviously, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched any of your shit before, it is what it is. But he ends up shooting himself in the face on stage and blowing his nose off, which is essentially when he's going back to being Birdman one last time to show them what he has.
Yeah.
When he's wearing the mask of gauze and basically looked like the Birdman mask. That's what I took from.
I kind of thought he meant to kill himself in that move.
I don't know. That's what I mean. I don't get what just happened.
I don't either, because he hit his nose. And usually when you're gonna end it all, you don't aim for your. I don't know. Seems like a no-brainer. But no, he hits his nose, and then I guess as like a punishment, goes back to being Birdman with the gauze and everything. But it's
a critical success. Yes,
it is but it's okay because it's a critical success. His play, because it's obviously going to make history. A man shoots himself on stage. That hasn't been done since the Shakespeare era, I'm sure.
But then why does he jump out the window?
But then, yes, is it even more okay because he just flies away?
I don't get it.
I envy you, Birdman, because you do what everyone wants to do and you're fed up with life. You just flew away.
Or killed yourself.
Yeah, but in reality, I believe he killed himself at the end. I just don't know what Emma Stone was looking at. Maybe there was a funny message written on the wall.
Or she was high.
Or she was high. You never know.
Yeah. Things are much better when you're high. Less gloomy days.
Mm-hmm.
More double rainbows and such.
Or you could do the Michael Keaton, where what his character does, and just he doesn't really drink too much, a little bit, but he's just angry and and sad. I don't know. I guess
Michael Keaton does do a great job.
Yeah, we can talk about acting, because this does have a star-studded cast, if you will. Besides Michael Keaton is the main character, backed up by Zach Galifianakis. There's also Naomi Watts. What's this? Andrea Roseborough? Is that her name? Yeah. And of course Edward Norton. And there's a few other,
Andrea Roseborough, I would assume, is that the one who is says she's pregnant?
Yes, I think that's her. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, that's her. So yeah, it's got some big names, especially Edward Norton. Pretty much playing, an even douchier version of Edward Norton. It's got some big names, but what do you think?
I like I said even douchier, not just a douchey version.
I've never met Edward Norton, but I assume he's kind of like this character. Nothing against him, but it kind of seems.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. It's not like you called him a douchebag. He's just kind of douchey.
Yeah, we're all a little douchey on the inside,
Yeah, just a little bit.
It's all good. We cool, Ed Norton. We cool. But performances. Michael Keaton kind of doing. Definitely not a comeback, because he never really went anywhere, but he definitely disappeared off like giant movies for a while. But what do you think of his performance? Because it all focuses on the madness inside of his head, basically. So.
Yeah, I thought he did a good job, especially when he was kind of more descending into that madness. You know what I mean? When he starts getting hammered, he wakes up on the step. and then he thinks he's flying. It turns out he just takes a cab. The guy runs in. You didn't pay for your cab. But anyways,
that was cool.
Yeah, the scenes like that, I thought he handled extremely well. Because I mean, it's not really like you have anything to build a base around for that, except for maybe hanging around some sort of schizophrenic people or something like that.
I don't know where he drew this character from.
That's what I mean. It seems like it's like a manic depressive sort of schizophrenic sociopath in a sense. And the fact that everything he does is just well, and he just has such a selfish attitude towards everything too, right? Where he's just trying to. I mean, the wife even brings that up to him when she's discussing the daughter with him, and I don't know, but I mean, I thought it was a fantastic character, at least for Michael Keaton.
Yeah,
I thought Riggin Thompson was it Riggin Tompkins or Thompson? Riggin Thompson. I thought he was a great character, and I mean, he was handled extremely well.
I loved this.
I don't really think he deserves like a best actor.
Maybe not, but
win, but
he might deserve recognition for it. But
he does, but he doesn't deserve a win. I mean,
he didn't move. He didn't. I wasn't like completely jaw on the floor kind of that you see from surprise actors sometimes.
And I mean, it wasn't, to be perfectly honest. I mean, it wasn't much different than. I thought he nailed the performance in something like the other guys, you know what I mean? Which is a stupid comedy at the same time. A smart comedy, too, but at the same time, he did the same sort of performance, if you think about just his mannerisms and how he talks. Yeah, except for when he's doing the crazy scenes. It really seems like it's one of those things where it's not as much skilled performance as when he is doing the kind of scenes where he's descending again into that madness, right? That's what I would think of it anyways. But overall, I would say he definitely did a great job.
Yeah, I loved his performance. I loved that scene where he just goes ballistic and wrecks his entire room when Zach Galifianakis just walks in on him and kind of pauses there. Oh, that was good. He, can't remember if he got nominated for Best Actor. Probably. But he might deserve the nomination, but you're right. It's not, performance of the century by any means.
It's nothing like Eddie Redmayne or however you say his name, the guy who plays Stephen Hawking.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's not a transformation kind of character. None of
even Bradley Cooper, an American Sniper.
Yeah. None of these performances in here none of them are especially bad, but everyone's kind of just playing themselves more or less, except Keaton. Edward Norton is definitely an exaggerated Broadway actor kind of type. But
Edward Norton, I thought, did a better job in Grand Budapest than he did in this.
Yeah, he definitely more of a stretch in the Grand Budapest. This one, he just kind of felt like he was playing himself, but just a little bit more snappier and sexist, and tries to rape co-stars on stage and that kind of stuff. But Emma Stone basically plays herself, just a little bit more of an attitude
strung
on
out.
her. Yeah.
More strung out.
Naomi Watts, I don't know what she's like in real life. She nothing too special out of her, I thought.
Well, considering she didn't have an accent, she didn't play herself in real life because she's Australian.
True, but you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
They just played actors, essentially.
Yeah, and Zach Galifianakis played, witty friend number one, kind of, sort of. Obviously not that simple, but,
He did a decent enough job, but I mean, you're
right.
He did. It's just a throwaway character.
Yeah. It's Michael Keaton is the one who's really, really the one pushing himself in this movie, and he does a great job doing that. But, again, this movie is just has good stuff going on in it, but doesn't, I don't think, makes a conclusive package of a film, if you will.
Yeah, aside from the performances and technique, that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
The problem is the storyline just isn't strong enough, and like we were saying when we were reviewing the Grand Budapest Hotel, because of how strong that film is as far as technique plus the storyline, yeah. And that's just such a difference.
Yeah, and that's what makes a great film great. I mean, this film is definitely important because of what it does, cinematically, and cinematography-wise, it's fucking breathtaking. If anything's gonna beat Grand Budapest, it could be this, I guess, for cinematography. But that doesn't make a classic, you know. It takes that plus story plus acting to make movie magic. That's what it's called, people. And this movie magic, and this is more like art house magic, if you will. You know, like independent film magic, because it's like breathtaking cinematography, but I don't think it'll go down as a masterpiece, unfortunately. I wanted to like this more than I did. I watched the trailer, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be cool. I wanted to like it a lot, but came off a bit disappointed, actually.
Well, same here too, because I heard from about a whole bunch of different people, and I mean critics alike, that kept saying that there are a bunch of good things about it. And
it's being praised everywhere.
Well, after the first time I saw it, I mean, I thought right away, I thought the way that it was shot was just absolutely gorgeous, but I thought the plot was a little off, and I really didn't think that it
that was
connected you at all. And then so I was like, okay, so I watched it again and kind of thought the same thing, and then I watched it again, and that's when I realized I was just like, I really did want to like it a lot more. And like you said, Michael Keaton's performance and some of the other performances are good, but the story just really just fades a lot of it out.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is true. I was most surprised by the cinematography and that, because I didn't know that was coming. Watching the trailer and whatnot, I just thought this was going to be like a black comedy kind of.
Yeah, same. That's what I assumed.
But then it's just so impressive visually, and that's what I wasn't expecting. But yet it lets me down in the story department, and that's what That's what I wanted. You know, was a really awesome dark comedy. You know, like I don't even know. There's a million great dark comedies, I suppose.
I would agree.
Some great fucking shots in this motherfucker, though. Oh, man. That going through Times Square, long shot, beautiful. I don't know how they pulled that shit off, but I don't know.
Well, you know, a lot of the scenes, even when they did it, when it would switch, they would go from the stage, and you would go back upstairs, you would follow him upstairs, inside the room, follow him around, back downstairs would be a different scene, follow him back onto the stage, keep going. It seemed as though it was just one continuous shot throughout almost the entire film. And to that is a good point to say that, I mean, that is visually gorgeous, and if the narrative could have matched that, it would have been easily one of the most memorable ones that you could see. But the problem is, I couldn't even tell you half of the parts of the story because it's just not that. It just really doesn't resonate with the viewer, and the fact that, at least to me, it wasn't that hard pressed. It was more trying to send a message that I thought was a little bit strange because of the fact that it was such a more artsy film. It just seemed a little more up its own ass, if you will, in that regard. So that's why I was saying that earlier. But aside from that,
was well put.
Aside from that, though, I mean, like you said, technically in almost every aspect, even aside from just the camera work and the editing, it is really well made.
Oh, fuck yeah. It's quite impressive, actually. But fortunately, it's just, you know, a shiny coat on something that could have been better, in my opinion. Yeah, I can't stress how cool this fucking production of this movie is, especially the 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 minute takes that you don't even notice. It doesn't seem like a crutch either, the whole one take thing. Doesn't seem like a gimmick. Like my mom saw this a few weeks ago, and we were talking about it, and she said she didn't even notice for 20 minutes that it was the same shot, or, you know, the illusion of the same shot.
Right.
I'm like, well, that's good, I guess. But I find that shit fucking impressive.
Oh, definitely, and it is. The only problem is that's the most impressive part of the movie, except for, of course, some of the performances.
I like the soundtrack, which by that I mean one guy playing the drums by himself. I thought that was cool, and I liked how they walked by that guy in the one scene. I'm like, oh, hey, there's the drummer.
That was pretty.
That's the guy. This guy's been, you know, really loud this whole time. I'm impressed. Yeah, I don't know. It could have been I was expecting something different. That's what it comes down to, and it depends on the user. I think the user, like it's a drug, the viewer of the film. You know, a lot of people are gonna mark this as a miss. I feel.
Well, it's one of the things where it's a problem because it has mostly memorable scenes at certain points, but it's not. It's not the most memorable story. Like, I mean, for instance, do you remember
a good trailer though?
Do you remember anything of what the play was going on realistically, or do you just remember certain things of the different times they did it?
I just remember that one scene that they were doing the whole time. I don't remember what the play was called, but all I know is that one scene where Mike.
We talk about love.
Yeah, enter Michael Keaton in Sue monologue.
The one where he comes in from Times Square is hilarious. Where he's just got his hands in the air like his Cactus Jack or some shit.
Yeah. Someone hands him a gun. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I liked that scene. That's cool, and it made me want to go to a show again because I haven't been to the theater in a long time. And I think that's what this film is kind of emulating, is the theater with the long take and the continuous, essentially giant monologues and whatnot, because, it's just the shot that never ends.
That's actually an interesting point that I really never contemplated there.
I think that's what he was trying to get at there.
That makes a lot of sense. And I mean, it doesn't necessarily make the story all that much better, but it definitely still just makes for someone, let's say, who didn't like the film at all, I guess that would make a bit of the reasoning for why it was shot the way that it was a little more impressive, right?
Yeah.
Because it's almost like with Grand Budapest, if someone said that they didn't like that movie because, say, they thought that the way it looked was strange, and you told them, well, it's clearly, especially with a lot of the backdrops, is supposed to have that more painterly approach, where something like this, it's clearly supposed to be a little more strange and different, and like you said, it's supposed to be similar to the theater, so you're constantly seeing that one person move around, right? Almost like it's a giant stage.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I got from it. But, I mean, I couldn't tell you.
It does make it impressive. But.
Yeah, it is impressive technically. It's just, unfortunately, the story was, I don't know, didn't work for me. I thought it's going to work for some people. It is. I can see, a certain group of film lovers out there.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those cult hits.
Yeah, a lot of people, like a lot of indie film hipster, whatever you want to call those people, they're going to flip for this shit. But, it's not my cup of tea, though. Visually, I will give it 2 thumbs up, and I have to say it's a must-see for that, as like that alone. Unfortunately, it's just not. I don't think it's the best film of the year. I don't think it's even compares to Grand Budapest, and that's saying something. Like, this film is cool, but it doesn't stand a chance.
I would agree with you. I don't think it even comes close to Grand Budapest. Doesn't even touch it with a 10-foot pole. And the fact is, even visually, just because of the fact that I feel with Wes Anderson with Grand Budapest, they put that little extra more effort into it when you see how the scenes are so carefully and just well orchestrated compared to where this. And I mean, obviously, it's a different type of film. They're not in this. They're using a lot more of New York City's kind of grit, and the Broadway scenes, the Broadway drama scenes, kind of fast paced, kind of do it now or fucking go away, right? That kind of attitude. So everything's like just real quick paced, fast moving, and just keeps going. I
think that's why the camera style worked. To be honest, like it fit the pacing.
That's where I felt the story worked, but I feel like when they try and just jump back and forth, and then it's with the whole thing with him being crazy as well, that's the part where I feel like it just loses everybody.
See, I like the fact that he was crazy. That was interesting to me, but it didn't go anywhere, I think.
That's what I mean. It just kind of came out of nowhere and didn't have much to do anything except just tell him to keep doing what he's doing.
I'm all for my main characters being fucking insane. It just, I would like there to be some structure to it a little bit, like an end goal.
Driving Miss Daisy.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. Anything else you want to touch about the acting or camera work, anything like that, before we score this bitch?
The only other thing that I would really say about it is, I mean, obviously we ragged on the fact that the narrative doesn't hold up as well as the technical aspects of the film do.
It does sound like we hate this film, and that's not the case. But.
No, it's not. And I mean, I do think it's a really good film. I don't think it's great. That's the problem. I think
exactly.
I think it's really good. And I mean, honestly, it's not something that I would have probably paid to see in theaters, even if it wasn't the whole limited release sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it is something that I feel now, having viewed it. I mean, if it does have a wider release, obviously, if it comes out on Blu-ray and you can buy it everywhere, I will be picking it up on Blu-ray. I think because of that and because of the reviewing value of it.
I think it does have good rewatch value.
Yeah, you can rewatch it over and over again. It's kind of like the same way as a Grand Budapest in that regard, especially because there's things you won't pick up on, really, I think, the first time you see this film. And that's where a lot of people, I think, are going to get turned away. But honestly,
I absolutely agree with that.
With that said, I would have to say, out of 10, I think I'm going to have to give it a 7.
Yeah, I was actually going to say 7.5 myself. I'm right there with you. And it gets a lot of those points for just pure... I'm impressed.
Ingenuity?
I'm straight up impressed with your film, to be quite honest. And you're right, it is a good film, not a great film, unfortunately. And we're talking about we're talking about the Oscars. We're talking about the best of the best. And I think this is good, but not the best. And that's what it comes down to. It's well made, but falls flat on its story, where we have Grand Budapest, which is just a synergy of everything. Like I said, movie magic. That's what that shit is. Grand Budapest Hotel. And this is more of a interesting experiment in film, and I like that people can do this, and especially get like big name actors to kind of help them do this. I'm all for that. Like, keep experimenting with film and need like interesting ways to show, scenarios and situations. I'm all for that. It's just sometimes, it's not gonna work. It's some Donnie Darko shit. Some people are just not gonna be on board.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's why there's a million movies. Everyone can have something. It's a beautiful time to enjoy film, people. Unfortunately, this film is probably not gonna make my top 3, unfortunately. Or even my top 5, to be honest. 7.5. Anything else?
Nope, nothing other than that.
Alright, folks, thanks for tuning in to the MOVIEVERSE podcast show. This is our 5th episode on the 4th episode on our road to the Oscars. We got 4 more films to go, and hope you tune in, because it's gonna be fun. We have what do we have left? Imitation Game, Theory of Everything, Selma, and Boyhood. Yes, those are coming up. Links to our work in the description below if you enjoy what we do. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.